everyone, so we've made it. It's the last day in December, almost 2023, so I thought I would finish off this year with a video looking back at some of my favourite games of 2022. Now there are a couple of rules for this list, the first being the game must have come out this year in 2022, the second being I must have played this game in order for it to appear, and the third being this is just my opinion. So if your favourite game fails to make my list, make sure you leave it in the comment section below so we can share these wonderful games with everybody in the community. In 2022, there seemed to be a never-ending release schedule for video games. Every single day there was new games coming out, so I've decided to put this video into a few different categories and just list off a few of my favourites from each category, starting with some honourable mentions. Now these are honourable mentions because they did come out just this month, and to be honest, I haven't had enough time to play these games fully to know whether or not they should be included in this list. However, what I have played, I have really enjoyed. So I'm going to start with Final Fantasy Crisis Core, the remastered edition. So this game feels like Final Fantasy VII Remaster. It's definitely got the same combat feel, it definitely has the same graphics feel, so if you really enjoyed that game, you're probably going to love Crisis Core. Now, something that is a little different in this game is the whole slot machine gambling, I'm not really sure, up in the top corner where you get status buffs randomly. I still haven't worked through the system. Again, I haven't fully completed this game. I don't mind that system, but it is a little different and a little bit of a twist onto the formula. But as I said before, if you really enjoyed playing Final Fantasy VII Remaster, then you'll definitely enjoy Crisis Core Remastered. The next honourable mention on this list is Dragon Quest Treasures. I haven't fully played through this game, however I did enjoy what I have played so far. Dragon Quest Treasures is a spin-off from the mainline turn-based combat Dragon Quest games, and it has a combat similar to Dragon Quest Heroes, where instead of having like a Mushu game where there's hordes of enemies, you're just facing a small group of enemies at a time, and it's you or the different monsters that you can get in your party that are attacking these enemies in smaller groups. So for those of you who have played the Dragon Quest Heroes game, I definitely think you probably would enjoy this. It is a different vibe to the mainline stories, and I feel like it's a bit more child-friendly, kid-friendly. Definitely feels like a younger audience could get into Dragon Quest through these games because they are a little bit on the easier side. But the graphics are there, the music's there, it's all there, all the things you love about Dragon Quest, so I'm excited to play through this game a bit more while I'm on holidays from work. Last but not least, on this honourable mentions list, I have to put Sports Story. This game only came out a couple of weeks ago, and I definitely haven't played enough of it to make up my mind. This game expands from just being golf to includes other sports such as cricket, volleyball. Now, one thing that is lacking is a little bit of a mini-map that I've noticed so far, so sometimes you feel like you're a little directionless in what to do next. However, the gameplay at core is there, so if you did enjoy Golf Story, I would say give this one a go and definitely check it out because it is one to keep an eye on. So I'm going to start with JRPGs. So there's a lot of JRPGs that released this year. I definitely think it was a big year for JRPGs. Now I've got a top 5 JRPGs that I'm including in this list, and that's just because again there was so many that released this year and so many that I've picked up and played. But I'm going to start with one of the favourites of mine from this year. That is a surprising indie release called Chained Echoes. Now this is a JRPG and it's an old retro 16-bit style game, turn-based combat, but it has such a captivating story, a beautiful art style, and really came out of nowhere. I think it surprised a lot of people as to the quality of the game and just how fun it was to play. Maybe it's nostalgia talking and a love of that style, but for me, I definitely really enjoyed this game, and if you haven't played it and you like JRPGs, definitely pick up Chained Echoes. Moving on to a game that I personally didn't think I would like at all, and that is Elden Ring. Now, there's a reason why I didn't think I'd like this, and that purely comes down to the difficulty of combat. So I'm not a Dark Souls person, I've never really gotten to the series, it's just always been too hard, and and not a game that I want to dedicate my time to getting better at and completing. However, Elden Ring completely flipped this for me because it included an open world, which meant if you got stuck somewhere, you could run away and you could go to another area and try that area. You weren't stuck on a linear path that if you got to a boss you just couldn't beat, you just stuck there. That to me was great. Also, the inclusion of multiplayer really helped me in Elden Ring. I played this majority with my brother and it was a lot of fun. He was obviously a lot better at the game because he enjoys those style of games than I am. However, I was able to persist even if we lost against a boss. It was more fun attempting that boss a couple of times with somebody you know than just toiling away at it over and over again on your own. So it's one to pick up maybe if you are thinking of getting into the Dark Souls genre but you're not quite sure. I'd definitely give it a go. It does have its downfalls though. The menu is atrocious. Like the item management system is awful. I don't really know what half the things do and it could use a bit of an overhaul. It's not very beginner friendly. But apart from that, the game itself is definitely something to experience and I completely understand why so many people fell in love with this game. Next in JRPGs, I'm going to put Trails from Zero, or Zero no Kiseki as it's called in Japan. Now this game is very special and I adore the Trails series. Trails of Cold Steel is my favorite. I love every single game and I also really appreciated Trails from Zero. It's actually a really great starting point to jump into the Trails series. It takes some dedication. They're not short games, they are massive JRPGs, traditional JRPGs, so if you're not into that, you don't like long games, maybe give it a miss. But if you are looking for a new JRPG series to get invested into and you've got the time, give this one a go. Now I did say I have 5 games for JRPGs, so number 4 is Atelier Sophie 2. This game came out way back in February and wow, this game is actually incredible. I think it definitely is one if you do enjoy the collecting and crafting aspects in video games, and it's just got such a nice art style to it. It's really vibrant. It almost has this like cozy art style. It's got cute anime girls if you like that. It's got pretty anime boys if you like that. And the story is very wholesome. And rounding out my top 5 for JRPGs is Live Alive, and that is just because it is so bite-sized. You get all the different stories and you can pick which one you want to play. You can drop in and out of it. Some stories take you a couple of hours to finish, some stories take you half an hour, some stories take you a little bit longer. And that is a rarity in JRPGs. Often JRPGs people think 30, 60, 100 hours to finish a game. So I thought it was really refreshing. If you prefer bite-sized games and you're looking for an old school RPG, maybe you should check out Live Alive. So the next section is going to be full of shmups, and I'm going to start with Horgihugh and Friends. So in this game you play as Hugh, who is a dog, and you are on an aeroplane, and that's the premise for the shmup. Now what I love about this is it's just very adorable. It's got vibrant colours. It's just a really fun game to play. It's also not particularly challenging. You can change the settings if you are struggling with the difficulty. Plus there's a little town building aspect to the game, which you can also unlock more benefits, which again can make the game easier. If you like this art style in shmups, definitely give this one a go. Next I'm going to put the Night Witch. So this is a shmup cross deck builder cross Metroidvania. However, the core gameplay is a shmup, so I'm putting it in this section. I find it just very unique, and if you are somebody who enjoys shmups but you also want a story to go along with that, I think this is one you should definitely check out. It is very different to what you're probably used to playing. However, overall it was a fun experience and the art style is amazing. It's so gorgeous to look at. It's all hand-drawn backgrounds and the characters look great. I think it went a little under the radar, so definitely check out the Night Witch if you're looking for a shmup that's a little different. Now this third shmup game may be cheating just a little bit because Cotton Rock 'n' Roll actually came out last year. I think I had it in December in my hands, a physical copy, but It only came west this year in 2022 and was renamed Cotton Fantasy. Now, Cotton is my favourite shmup, I guess, franchise. I adore Cotton. I think Cotton is so cute. And these games, you play as Cotton, and basically Cotton just loves these candies. So you play trying to get all these candies to eat. That's essentially the story in a nutshell. Other things happen, but it's quite superficial and fun and light. One good thing about this though is it does have online leaderboards, so if you are a bit more of a competitive shmup player, you can test your skills against others and see how good you actually are. Moving on to strategy games or tactics, the Deerfield Chronicles. This is the best strategy game that came out this year for me, hands down. It has like a real-time strategy gameplay, and I really found that really refreshing. How do I explain it? So basically, combat moves, the long time keeps moving, and you can position your party, you can attack all at once, or you can command each individual party member to do different moves. And they all have a different, I guess, a range of attacks and a different type of attacks depending on their like class. So it's a really fun game. I really liked the characters in the game. I quite liked the story. And for me, I was just really engaged within the whole game, especially the battle system. It was just a lot of fun on the tactics genre. To round out these strategy or tactics games, I'm putting Tactics Ogre Reborn. I was quite surprised that Tactics Ogre got, I guess, a remaster here in 2022, but I'm so grateful because I never actually played the original Tactics Ogre, so it was a complete new experience for myself. This is a classic strategy tactics game similar to like Final Fantasy Tactics that you may have played previously. And if you're a purist of the genre and looking for a game to fit that you will like, can't recommend Tactics Ogre enough. Now, as I often feature cozy games on this channel, of course I have to feature some of my favourite cozy games that were released in 2022. And I am going to start with Doraemon, Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom. Now, this is the second Doraemon Story of Seasons game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very cozy, very relaxing, and more just farming and a wholesome time. It also doesn't have the romance aspects because obviously Doraemon is a children's character, a children's anime, so they just build friendships within the game rather than romances, and I really appreciated that. I didn't have to be like, oh, which townsperson do I want my character to marry? So it's nice and it's fun and it's wholesome. The graphics are well done. If you like Story of Seasons or you like Doraemon, then definitely check out this collaboration between the two franchises. Next for cozy games, I'm going to put one that I've only played recently, and that's Wavetale. It is so relaxing. It's only about 4 or 5 hours to finish the whole game. But you play as this girl, Sigrid, and basically you go on this journey to find sparks to get light to push back the darkness. The best thing about this is just the movement options. Like when you go into the water, you're gliding along, like you're surfing along, and it's so fluid and fun. There's a little bit of combat in it, a little bit of platforming, but nothing is very difficult and nothing that's going to be out of the comfort zone for a cozy game or a casual game. Definitely a cozy game that potentially you wouldn't think is a cozy game, and that's why I enjoyed it so much, because I played it thinking, oh, this looks like a fun like action platformer, like with really nice cute graphics and a color palette that I personally really enjoy. And then I played it and I was like, this is really relaxing, this is just really cozy, this is an easier game in some respects, and I appreciate that. Not every game has to be Dark Souls difficult. Now on to, I guess, action, adventure, just regular RPGs. And I have a couple to mention here that I thoroughly enjoyed, some potentially forgotten about, starting with Horizon Forbidden West. I feel like Horizon Forbidden West had a tough time with its release window when it came out, competing with the Goliath Elden Ring. However, I adore Horizon Forbidden West combat. It's so fun, it's got this action combat, it's fluid, it just looks great. Also, the game is the best looking game on my PlayStation 5 by a mile. If you played Horizon Zero Dawn, you probably know what to expect. It's more of the same. There is a lot of dialogue, there are a lot of quest points, there are a lot of extra side things that you can do, side quests. You can go off the beaten path, and then 10 hours later you're like, oh, I haven't progressed the main story at all. It's one of those kinds of games. Next in this category, I am putting Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Kirby in the Forgotten Land was a much needed 3D Kirby. It's everything I could have dreamed a 3D Kirby would be. It blew away any expectations I had for the game. It truly is a magnificent Kirby game. It's so wonderful, it's so fun to play, it's good for all ages as well, and it has a co-op mode. So you can play as Kirby and somebody else can play as Waddle Dee. Now, whilst co-op mode is great and it's fluid and it works, do note that if you are playing as Waddle Dee, you don't get the cool Kirby abilities and you can't inhale things. That leads me to the other thing, inhaling things like a car and becoming Car Kirby and driving around a level is nice. The other great thing about this game is each level is bite-sized. As you can probably tell, I am a Kirby fan, so for me, this game was like a dream come true when it did actually release. I loved it, and the perfect way to celebrate Kirby's 30th anniversary was this game. So happy birthday Kirby for this year, and also just if you haven't played this game and you have a Nintendo Switch, make it a priority to pick this one up. To end this video, I'm going to go with what was my #1 game of the year. It's the game I've played most this year and I've consistently gone back and picked it up, and that one is Splatoon 3. Now, I wasn't a massive Splatoon fan coming into it, however Splatoon 3 for some reason just got me hooked, and I've been playing it most days actually. I jump in there for a game or two and then jump back out, and it's a lot of fun. I love the multiplayer aspect of it, and I also really enjoy that Salmon Run is now just available, and if you are sick of going up against opponents and other people online, you can team up with them and just go against the Salmonoids. So it's a really nice touch. The story mode too is quite good. It's still not the best one player mode, but it is an improvement on the previous games, so I will credit it with that. And again, for Nintendo, the connection, when it works, it's really smooth. You get 60 frames per second and the game is just fun to play. So was your favourite game for 2022 included in this little list I've put together? Definitely comment down below. Give this video a like if you made it all the way to the end, and I hope you have a happy new year, and I'll see you all in 2023. Bye bye.